as you know, at Business Trends TV, we highlight the businesses that are setting trends in their respective industry. And today I definitely have one of those trendsetters. Bruce Rosenwater is a bankruptcy and foreclosure attorney in West Palm Beach. He's an expert in his industry, and he's got a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of questions that I get about the foreclosure process. And today, Bruce is going to add a lot of value to you to give you some answers to some commonly asked questions that you probably have if you're going through the foreclosure process yourself, whether it's in South Florida or any other part of the country. So, Bruce, how you doing?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
Doing great. I'm glad to have you on the show today. I guess anything you wanna start off with? I mean, obviously, you are a foreclosure attorney expert. Anything else that you want to add to that?
Well, we do bankruptcy as well, and that goes a lot with the foreclosures today. A lot of people get it, financial difficulties. I think they run hand in hand.
What is a deficiency judgment? Isn't that what exactly is that? Is in the short sale or the foreclosure process?
A deficiency judgment is a judgment for money that you owe over and above what the bank receives. For example, if there's a foreclosure and the judgment's for $300,000 and the bank is able to get $200,000 for the property, they can come after you for $100,000. Or on a short sale, you owe $300,000, they sell it for $200,000, they can come after you for $100,000. So when you have a foreclosure action, there's two things you have to remember. There's a promissory note that you entered into. That's an obligation to pay X amount of money. Then the mortgage is the security for that loan, and that's what the bank's foreclosing on. So a deficiency is a money judgment, what they're seeking for what you owe over and above what the bank receives. And today that's typical because a lot of these foreclosures, people pay top money when the real estate market was going crazy, and they owed a lot more than what the properties were. So if you don't resolve that in the future, you can be hit with a lawsuit for deficiency judgment. And a lot of banks sell these judgments and these notes for pennies on the dollar to collection companies that proceed many years down the line on these types of actions.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't most of those deficiency judgments kind of worth a lot less because aren't there? Isn't it kind of unlikely that the banks are going to collect on those, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, in Florida, you have a lot of defenses, not defenses, but exemptions that protect you from creditors. So it is sort of a debtor's haven. If you're head of household, they can't garnish your wages. If you have another homestead property, they can't obtain it. Your retirement accounts are exempt from your creditors. So it's hard to collect on a judgment. So typically, these are areas where you can negotiate a lower amount as a settlement to resolve that.
And do you negotiate those settlement amounts, or would you help somebody negotiate that?
We can do that, but what we like to do is not get the individual, our client, in that situation. When we're representing them in a foreclosure defense, we don't want anything to happen to them in the future. So we're going to clean up these issues. If it's going to be a short sale, we're going to make sure that the deficiency is waived. If we consent to a foreclosure judgment, if there's no other alternatives for the client, we're going to make sure that the deficiency is waived. So and if it's a very large deficiency and the lender doesn't want to do that, then we're going to try to negotiate to pay, pennies on the dollar. So nothing in the future will, these individuals won't have anything coming after them in the future because one time is bad enough, and to go through it again, it just compounds the problems.
I think which is one of the great reasons to hire an attorney, because a lot of people might leave this stuff undone and they've got unfinished business that they have to deal with again, to your point, in another 2, 3, 4 years when maybe they can't pay that deficiency judgment, and then all of a sudden they're back into the courtroom again trying to deal with the situation that they thought they dealt with 3 or 4 years ago. And so I think it is important to deal with this stuff all at one time, and only an attorney would know that what's coming up in the future in terms of maybe having to deal with a deficiency judgment 3 or 4 years down the road. So
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of times you see people that just want to walk away. They don't want to spend money for an attorney. Their house is upside down. They can't afford to keep it. They just want to walk away and say, put this behind them. But they don't realize that they're exposing themselves to litigation or possible litigation in the future, a large deficiency judgment.
And aren't there's seconds too, isn't there? Like if there's a first and a second, there's a different situation with a second versus a first. I mean, I heard seconds are almost like totally they get no priority at all. So don't those get pretty much dismissed right off the bat, don't they?
Well, a lot of times we have, especially in the older, well, not older, but say like 2005, 6, 7, people were getting almost 100% financing. They would finance, the first would be 80% loan to value, and the remaining 20% would be a second mortgage. And then these properties go down in value. So the second could be worth 100,000, and the property is only worth 200,000, and the first is 300,000. So there's nothing there, and that it's not worth them foreclosing on the property. The first will foreclose out the second's interest, but again, you have to remember there's still a note that you entered into, a monetary obligation that in the future someone can sue for the money. Not they're not going to foreclose on the mortgage, but that's also always a possibility that you can be sued in a civil lawsuit for that full amount of the $100,000 that you received in that loan. So that's why you want to settle that as well while you're dealing with the first. For if the property is worth next to nothing, offer them some type of lump sum payment, maybe start with 10 cents on the dollar, see if you can do that. And of course, with these settlements that the government entered into with all these lenders, we see a lot of people that had large seconds that the bank said, okay, we're discharging, we're not going after you for any of this. And that's fine if it's on your primary residence and it was used in connection with purchasing the residence or making improvements, because when there's a deficiency and you're not going to receive anything, the lender files what's called the 1099 with the government, meaning they're discharging that debt, which becomes taxable. But if it's in connection with your primary residence, at least through the end of 2013, that's not a taxable event for the IRS on your primary residence.
Okay, great info there, because and I think that law might be changed, so it's important for people to identify this type of an issue and deal with it before this year is up, especially while that law is still in effect, or else they might get 1099 if it's not their primary residence, is what you're saying.
Correct. Well, if it's not their primary residence, they're going to get a 1099. It's going to be a taxable event. But if it's their primary residence, they're still going to receive a 1099, but it's not taxable to the IRS. The IRS, as long as you have a good accountant, you're not going to be paying any taxes on that.
And in regards to your payment, I mean, if somebody, obviously one of the big concerns I'm sure that people have is, well, I'm in this financial situation right now. How am I going to afford an attorney? Can you maybe make that process a little bit easier do you offer payment plans or anything like that?
Yeah, depending on the situation, we do offer. Sometimes we do on a set fee per month, and the only thing additional would be any hard costs like court reporters, filing fees. Other times we charge an hourly rate with a retainer. It just depends on the circumstance and what the person's looking for.
Okay.
But let me tell you this, Ryan. If you're going to pay us a flat fee, it's a lot cheaper than you would be paying for your mortgage or to rent someplace else to live. So it's in your best interest to, if you want to keep the home, to enter into that type of payment arrangement.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it makes more sense to go this route, especially, and at some point, the bleeding has to stop, and I think this is a great way to do that. I mean, obviously, to get expert help, and I really appreciate all the information that you've given us today. I mean, we've gone through a good, solid gamut of questions that I know that most 99% of people that are going through the foreclosure process are going to want to know the answers to. So I'm going to obviously keep this on our Business Trends TV YouTube channel. We're gonna also post some of these answers to your YouTube channel to help people out in this foreclosure process. Obviously, you're an expert that can help people in this type of situation. if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you guys?
The best way, they can probably email us or go on our website and they can put a question. The phone number is 705-0627. That's area code 561. But we're more than happy to help anyone with any questions they may have. And if it's just a general question, go on, email us or go onto the website if you need more information or want to schedule an appointment, give us a call. That's what we're here for.
Okay, awesome. And I think one of your numbers I think I had earlier is 561-705-0627, and then it's bankruptcy attorney westpalmbeachfl.com is his website. Is there any last parting words that you have to say to people if they're in this process?
I just want to say this is a complicated area. You really should see an attorney. See an attorney that has a lot of expertise in this area. What we're seeing today is a lot of people that have been doing other things or trying to dabble into foreclosure defense. And I like to tell my clients sometimes when they balk about a fee or something, when you buy a good suit, it's going to last you for a long time. If you buy a cheap suit, you're going to have to keep buying them. So what you want is the best legal advice. And sometimes it costs more than someone else, but don't be penny wise and pound foolish.
Gotcha. And you've been practicing this area for many years, so I think that it's obviously this is your area of expertise, and I appreciate the time that you gave us today. And thanks, Bruce. And we'll probably do this again in a month and a half or so to talk about another topic that people are going to want to know information about too. Okay.
I look forward to that. Thank you for your time.